Welcome to episode 163 of the Various and Sundry podcast. I am your host, Matt Harmon, joined live from the Vault Studio on the beautiful campus of Grace College and Theological Seminary by my good friend, my colleague, my co-host, and the man who stayed up well past his bedtime last night.
Well past.
John Scott Sloat.
It was rough. I had to watch like the last 10 minutes of the game in bed because it was so late.
Yeah, which that puts that around like, what, 10 o'clock, 10:10?
Yeah.
That's around when the game, I think, ended.
Oh, yeah. I do appreciate the 6:30 kickoff. That's very helpful.
Yes. Yes, it is.
But yeah, those games that start at like 8:30, I don't know how people do it.
Well, they also don't get up at like, what, 4:30 or 5 o'clock like you do.
Between 5 and 5:30 usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you'd like to contact the show and give John a hard time about him staying up past his bedtime, you can reach out on Twitter at VNSPod. You can email the show, variousandsundrypodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we would, of course, love for you to leave a 5-star rating and a review.
A snarky written review?
We love snark.
Glowing?
Yeah, either way. Just make sure it's 5 stars.
Yeah, got to be 5 stars.
Can't mess with the algorithm.
That's right.
Yes. All right. Now, normally at this point, I know we have some listeners who hit the skip button, look at the timestamps in the notes, and they jump right to our main topic. But if that's you, I am going to ask you to not do that because we have a twist on our sports segment today. Right, John?
Yes, we do.
This is history in the making right now.
Yeah.
We have our very first in-studio guest on the program in the 163 episodes.
Well, yeah, I know we discussed that before we got on.
Unless you count
the Grace Story Takeover.
The Grace Story Takeover, yes.
Unless you count that.
But we were really just taking over somebody else's podcast.
That's
not
true.
our own.
That's true.
So this is our house, and yeah. Now, I will say before I introduce this guest, I'm taking some heat on the home front for this.
Oh, the boys?
Oh no!
Oh, not the boys.
No.
That leaves either a cave dweller or a spouse.
My beloved wife.
Yeah. She's
a little salty that she's not been able to secure a guest appearance on the pod. But we'll talk about my marital issues off air. All right. So let's go ahead and bring in and introduce our guest. The money has just been rolling in to the Various and Sundry podcast.
That's right.
And so we have hired, for this past year,
Hired.
Yes.
Strong words.
Yeah. a Super Bowl correspondent that we sent off to Media Day. And so we are bringing in that said Super Bowl correspondent. His name is Will Dawson. Will, thanks for joining us.
I am so honored to be here. And should I just hold the check for a while?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably.
A good long while. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So, Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about your actual jobs as opposed to your made-up job here that we're talking about?
I work for the Christian Broadcasting Network. I'm a producer and a reporter. And I do primarily sports stories, which affords me the opportunity to be at the Final Four in the World Series and the Super Bowl, which is pretty exciting. And I guess that's why you asked me to be here today.
Yes.
And we generally like you. And
That's
your office is right down the hall. Which
That's right.
is
Some
really
of the
handy.
Harmons like me. I am feeling the heat from Mrs. Harmon.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Will was at our Super Bowl party last night, and we were discussing the recording today. And let's just say that my wife Kate aggressively lobbied for her to be the first guest, and threw a little bit of shade towards Will for the fact that he managed to secure the invitation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no joke, like 5 minutes before he came into the studio, my wife texts me, it's still not too late to have me on for a little Valentine's Day segment since this episode drops on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just happy to be healthy and safe here today in the podcast studio.
Yes, indeed.
We'll get you a detail for
security
the next 48 hours
Thank
or so.
you.
Yes, excellent. So, all right, Will, let's talk a little bit about what is Media Day like. Just walk us through what it's like, where it's held, what the atmosphere is like?
What day of the week it is even?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure.
Well, you can imagine for Super Bowl, they want to stretch this thing out as long as they possibly can. I can't even imagine how much money the city of Phoenix and any city that hosts the Super Bowl makes.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed in Phoenix last Sunday night, so over a week ago.
Okay.
I won't tell you the name of the hotel. It's a decent hotel. $187 a night that Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
The next night, $387.
Wow.
One
Wow.
person, one night. Yeah, so this thing goes on for a week. And as you can imagine, the Super Bowl media day it's insane. There are all kinds of media there.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a guy as I was walking in through the metal detector. We're checking our gear. He seems to be wearing nothing but a barrel over himself and a cowboy hat. Thankfully, it goes down almost to his knees. But
Did they have to wand him, or like what do they do with the metal?
yeah, I'm not sure how that happened.
I don't think you want to go there.
I turned my head
Yeah.
as he was going through. And I expected this guy to be a little crazy, out of control. He kind of stood there like, I'm really in Super Bowl media day wearing a barrel and nothing else. He was kind of quiet. I didn't want to ask him what his deal was. I didn't want to bring even
The
more
reserved barrel guy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a ticketed event. It's at the Footprint Center where the Phoenix Suns play.
Okay.
So there are a lot of fans there. And basically what happens is they'll set up the main players in a circle at individual podiums with microphones and speakers. And then the rest of the team just kind of walks around. And so you go up and get who you can get.
So who was on the perimeter this year?
For the Eagles, so they were first. It was Jalen Hurts. It was A.J. Brown. Jason Kelsey was one of the guys. Nick Sirianni, the coach.
Okay.
Brandon Graham,
Okay.
linebacker. And then the rest of the guys, you just kind of had to figure out who they were.
They didn't have name tags or anything like that?
I think in years past they've worn jerseys. So, hey, there's this guy. That's pretty easily identifiable.
Yeah.
And the main guys, you kind of know who they
Sure,
are.
sure.
Right.
You see Jalen Hurts walking around. Well, that's Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes. You know who he is.
Yeah.
But the long snapper for Kansas City Chiefs,
Yeah.
you better know what his number is. And so they had team issue sweats with a little number kind of over their heart. And so I'm walking around trying to find the guys to talk to based on the number. And that caused a little bit of an issue.
So what's your preparation for this day? Is it kind of you're walking in blind, free-for-all, just talking to whoever you can talk to, or do you single out individuals you want to connect with? I assume they would have some sort of Christian background.
Yeah, that's kind of the fun in this event is that you're ready for anything.
Okay.
The preparation is I contact the team chaplains and try to talk to them about the guys that are really following the Lord. Maybe they're in the team Bible study or whatever. So I was able to connect with the Eagles team chaplain, but the Chiefs team chaplain I was not. And so I will Google players' names along with faith or along with Christian and kind of hope something comes up.
Okay.
And where do you find most of those articles come from? Are they in like the Kansas City local newspaper? Are they on some sort of like weird Christian blogger out there? Like, where are all the above?
That it's kind of all of the above. So local media sometimes you'll get a little bit of something, and then I found a really good resource is my friends at Sports Spectrum. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Used to be I think a monthly publication magazine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now a guy named Jason Romano who worked at ESPN for the longest time as a producer with Mike and Mike and all of those shows. He was a talent booker there. Now he runs it, and so I've got a connection with him.
Oh,
I'm like,
fun.
Who do you have? Can you help out? So we kind of help each other out in that regard.
Nice. Nice. So who were some of the people going into the media days that you had prioritized of these are people I want to try to make every effort to connect with?
There were, I can say honestly that I didn't have a lot of information on guys that are Christians on the team to talk the faith angle with. Patrick Mahomes is a professing believer. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, professing believers. And so I thought that'll be pretty cool. I'll just kind of push my way through the mass of media and try to get a question to one of those guys and hope it works out okay.
Yeah. Not a lot of people wanted to talk to those guys, right?
Not
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at any given moment, then, when you're trying to push through the crowd, how many reporters or others pretending to be reporters wearing barrels are gathered around a big name player like a Jalen Hurts, a Patrick Mahomes? How many people are you trying to fight through to get up towards the front so you can ask your question?
I kind of waited for the line to dissipate.
Okay.
They're up there an hour.
Okay.
And so, but then you start realizing it's not going to dissipate. As soon as somebody moves in, somebody's moving out.
Yeah.
And so there are probably 60, give or take, cameras on the shoulders. And to try to get your way up to the front, you're jockeying for position. So I grab my cameraman and I'm kind of pushing him through. And I've got experience doing this because this goes back to 2007. I covered my first event, the World Series. So I'm not a stranger to it.
Yeah.
But, people get a little uncomfortable when you're pushing in and out of those things. They don't like it very much. But then you're also sent to do a job, and you got to do a job.
Well, they're going to do it right back to you, right? Like if you were in the other position, they're going to push right past you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe tell me about some of your most interesting conversations, whether it's somebody you had targeted or somebody that you didn't really anticipate but maybe surprised you as being enjoyable conversations.
Well, I think one of the ones the most surprising to me was Coach Nick Sirianni. And you remember the visual now that's all over social media about him shedding tears before the game as the anthem's playing.
Yeah.
He was a guy that was an assistant coach in in Kansas City. And Andy Reid was hired, and Andy Reid fired him when he showed up to take over. And so Sirianni, who comes from a family of faith, I don't know that he had actually made faith his own at that point, but he pointed to the fact of how God led him through that. And it wasn't what he wanted, but it got him where he was today, and not just the blessing of being in the Super Bowl, but that it had actually put him on a path toward following Christ.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know.
That was my goodness.
Was there anybody that you were really hoping to talk to or get a soundbite from that you were unable to?
No, actually, I think we got everybody that we wanted to. There are often guys that you'll see at this event that you're like, whoa, that's cool. Kenny Mayne walked by me, and being a guy that's watched SportsCenter since I was a little kid, that's Kenny Mayne. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Jimmy Johnson, Cowboys Hall of Fame head coach, Michael Irvin was there. I wanted to make sure that I got content, so I saw Trent Dilfer, and I was like, hey, man, you got a second for a quote? And I asked him, just looking around at what this is, the spectacle this is, how do guys put all of this into perspective? He's like, that's a tough one. These guys are being worshipped.
Yeah.
And we are not made to be worshipped. We're made to worship. And so it's a really difficult thing for the guys that are there. So I guess that was an interesting conversation that I had.
Yeah. So are you headed to the Final Four then this year as well?
Yes, it's in Houston this year. Pretty excited about that. That's a challenge in and of itself too, because you're talking to, they're all young guys, but guys that are in college and public universities.
Absolutely.
Those are tough gets. But that's probably my favorite trip of all of them. Just there's so much going on. And I can say the Super Bowl too. These things are so well organized, and they probably start in the process as soon as they're announced as a host city.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you go in and everything scheduled and detailed. There are really no surprises except for the surprises when you stick a microphone in somebody's face.
Right.
You're not sure you're going to, you don't know about that. But they're great events. Super Bowl was a great event. Final Four is next. So if Kate is not on before I am asked back, and hopefully I will be, being a Final Four correspondent, we need to work that out for sure.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, that hole is just going to get deeper if we bring you back in for that before.
Yeah, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah, you've gone white, Matt.
Yes. Yeah, yes. This might turn into a marriage counseling session here real quick if we're not careful. But yes, so we do appreciate you coming in. This is a unique angle, I think, that most people might see clips from media day and that sort of stuff, or they might. But to get a behind the scenes look at it is something that I think a lot of our listeners don't have.
This is like a dumb sport question. How big are those guys at the Super Bowl? Like as you're walking up to Jason Kelsey, let's say.
Yeah.
How big is he?
They're big guys, really big guys. I think I feel smaller when I'm at the Final Four, though.
Really?
When you see guys that are 6'6", 6'8", 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
And funny, there's a guy named Boston Scott who's a running back for the Eagles who's 5'6". And so it's like,
Well, he had a couple great jukes last time. He got
Yeah,
the
he
ball
did.
in the open field a few times.
did.
Well, and that's part of what's in one sense unique about football is based on position. You do get more of a range of sizes of guys. You've got small running backs. You've got the occasional smaller corner. I mean, most corners are probably 5'10", 6 foot range. They're not. We might stereotypically think of the linemen, or even the quarterbacks are typically 6'3" and above, 6'3" to 6'6" range. But you get those guys that are like the small running back or the corners that are smaller.
Somebody at our Super Bowl party last night was saying Jalen Hurts squats like 600 pounds, and I look at him, I go, that dude looks scrawny out there.
Wow.
But is he a big dude?
Well, he was. I didn't stand next to him, so he was sitting down at a booth when I talked to him. So I didn't get a good, I didn't get to size him up.
Yeah.
I didn't get to challenge him to an arm wrestling competition.
Yeah.
I might have, just to say that I had.
Yes. Well, Will, thanks for being our Super Bowl correspondent. And if we go ahead and sign a contract with you for the Final Four,
Absolutely.
we will double your pay, what we paid for you for the Super Bowl.
Yes. Thanks for bringing the contracts here. I'm signing it right now.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yes. So, Will, thanks for joining us today.
It's a privilege, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Will.
Well, John, that was fun to have a little wrinkle there in terms of adding Will into the program.
that was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Yeah, and we also heard some kind of an off-air story that will stay off air. Yeah. Some of the behind the scenes. If we had a Patreon account, maybe we would do that.
That would be fun. Yeah. Although I'm still not sure Will would want that on the Patreon.
I don't think Will would want that on the Patreon there. So, but we are grateful for Will joining us, and he's also a listener to the pod, so we appreciate that as well.
Yeah, we've known Will for years.
Many years now, yes.
Will was a seminary student here at Grace shortly.
Yes. And
very short.
and worked in the community for I've known Will was in our small group together, and then and so grateful for him, and he's a good dude, even if he is a Kentucky fan.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah, that got a noise out of him. He was trying to be real quiet.
We'll talk about that closer to March Madness, I suppose.
See you, Will. Have a good one.
Thanks, Will. So let's talk. Really, this episode is going to be about the Super Bowl as a whole. Now, we'll talk different angles so that it's not, we'll talk a little bit about the game, obviously, but we're also going to talk about commercials and the Super Bowl as sort of a cultural phenomena and that sort of thing. So why don't we talk now about the actual game itself?
Sure.
So what were your impressions of the actual football game itself?
For the most part, I thought it was a really good game. I thought the Eagles played a bit better than the Chiefs, and
certainly in the first half.
Certainly in the first half. I think the Chiefs' defensive touchdown is really, without that, the Eagles win that game.
Yeah, without that, they would be down. They would have been down 24-7 at the half. Chiefs would have been.
Yeah,
that's a tall task.
Absolutely,
to come back from that. But
I think Andy Reid's a great coach. I think Andy Reid came out in the second half with a great game plan, and that game plan came through, and Mahomes' ankle held up.
Yeah, he looked way more mobile than I expected. I mean, obviously he's had 2 weeks since the AFC Championship game.
Sure.
He's getting literally the best care for that ankle available in the world.
And the best painkillers,
yes,
I assume.
Yes. But I was also impressed with the Eagles came in with the best defensive line and statistics in terms of pressuring the quarterback. And I don't think they sacked Mahomes the entire night.
No. I believe there was only one sack, and it was a 1-yard sack of Jalen Hurts in the game.
Yeah. So the fact that the Chiefs, and if you remember when they lost to the Buccaneers a couple of years ago, that's what lost them the game.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes was running for his life the entire time and could not do anything. So they've made the adjustments to have an offensive line that can protect Mahomes even when he's gimpy, which he was last night. Another thing, what did you think of the defensive holding call that more or less settled the game at the end?
Yeah, I think it should have been one that they let go. Like, I could see a case for it, but I thought it was pretty minor.
Yeah. Now, again, there's no guarantee that Philadelphia comes back to win.
Yep.
But that was with what, like a minute and a half left? It was on a third down, incomplete pass, clock stops. So Kansas City would have kicked the field goal, almost certainly would have made it. It was would have been a short field goal. And
Philly would have got in.
Philly would have gotten the ball with at least like a minute 20 left probably.
Yeah.
And only needing a field goal to tie or a touchdown to win. So I can put myself in the shoes of a Philadelphia fan and feel like, man, if I was a fan of that team and that's how we lost, that'd be a hard pill to swallow.
Oh yeah. I'm also not a huge fan. I get it. I'm not a huge fan of because after that play, Philadelphia was like, let him score.
Yes.
Right? And they slid down at the one, took a couple knees, and kicked the field goal. That's a little hard to watch. That's not necessarily the way I want a game to end.
Yeah, it's not entertaining football. It's smart football.
It's very smart football, but it's not entertaining football.
But yes, it's something that obviously both teams trying to employ the sort of smart strategy in terms of the Eagles saying, well, if they score, we're down 7, but we at least get the ball back with a minute and a half or whatever left. And the Chiefs realizing it's actually worse to score the touchdown because then we can't run the clock out.
Yep.
And so that was, not the most entertaining way for a football game to end, but very strategic moves on the part.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it is a game, and games have strategy, right? Yeah. And so that's one of them.
I mean, in one sense, it can feel a little similar to. I mean, when you're watching a basketball game and the last 45 seconds are just foul, free throw, 3-point attempt, foul, free throw, like that. That's not the most entertaining version of basketball that's out there, and I think that's a similar vibe with football. But thoughts on the commentators, Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson.
Well, you know my feelings about Kevin Burkhardt.
I know it is Valentine's Day when this releases, so that's your man crush right there.
Yeah, Kevin Burkhardt, for listeners out there, used to be the Mets sideline reporter, and was great. And he was the sideline reporter, I think, through the 2014 season. And then he went to Fox, and he had hosting duties for the World Series in 2015, and was hosting the World Series the sort of at the stadium round table discussion with all the former players at Citi Field for the World Series. And so he's done that. And then he was the number 2 at Fox behind Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
And they both left, and he got promoted to number 1. And so he had the Super Bowl this year, which was really exciting.
But they're going to put Tom Brady in his booth now, right? Since he's the number 1, are they not going to put Tom Brady right on?
I would assume so.
And reassign Greg Olson to somebody else.
Probably.
I think he's okay. I'm not wowed by him, but I think he's all right.
Yes. I thought Greg Olson was very good last night. I didn't have a ton of complaints. I wasn't wowed. But I think Kevin Burkhardt's
But I think
really
it's a tough spot because on the one hand, as a commentator, you have a large number of people watching who don't watch much football. And so you probably feel some compulsion to explain more things than maybe in a regular game that you would because you have this large audience that is
100 million viewers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100 million viewers, and a huge chunk of them may not know a lot of the nuances of the game. So why is that a penalty, or why is that smart strategy by the Chiefs player to slide down and not score? That seems so counterintuitive until you understand how the clock works and all those sorts of things.
I thought they did a good job of using Mike Pereira last night, their rules expert. There were a lot of instances of, is that a catch? Is that not a catch?
Yes.
And then we're having conversations in the basement. I'm trying to explain to my wife, like, this is what a catch is. Is that a catch? Is that not a catch?
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, there were 3 calls all on that very issue. Is it a catch or not?
Yeah.
There was the long pass to Devontae Smith that got overturned.
I was surprised by that.
I was a little surprised by that too. And then there was
the tight end catch on the sideline by the Eagles.
That was upheld as a catch. That one was upheld.
Yes, I believe so.
And then there was the swing pass where the receiver caught it, got 2 feet on the ground, and just as he's turning, gets hit.
Walloped.
The ball falls out. The Chiefs player picks it up. Same player that scored the other one.
I said if that call stood,
he is the MVP.
He is the MVP.
Yeah, game over in terms of that. So
2 defensive touchdowns will do it for you.
Yeah, I would think so. So the game itself, it was the kind of game I was hoping for. Both teams scoring a lot of points, entertaining.
Yep.
Not a lot of officiating until the very – like the officials were fine, I thought, overall, until they get to that end and you're like, oh, man, that is a weak sauce call.
Now, was that a superstar super team of referees, like the best referees from the different groups, or was it one group? One crew. I think they call them crews.
Well, when they get to the playoffs, they do superstar crews. But I don't know then if they keep those crews or they just kind of keep evaluating individual refs and then cobble them together as a. My guess is they pick the best of the best at each of the positions that the refs occupy and then do that.
I'm probably more of a fan of keeping a crew together all year. That's probably my preference.
Yeah, probably. So, let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowl as a cultural phenomena.
Okay.
I mean, when you think about it, this is one of the few remaining cultural moments when people gather outside of family, right? And you have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, Easter, you have family gatherings.
Sure.
But there aren't many cultural gatherings where it's not family, it's friends, it's neighbors, it's maybe people from your small group, or if you're in a church or something like that. So why do you think this has become such a huge cultural moment? Why is it? Because the Super Bowl has always been big in one sense, in terms of television numbers, massive numbers of people watching it. But I'm trying to remember. I don't feel like it was until maybe into the 90s or the early 2000s where it became like the expectation was you were going somewhere or hosting someone. Yeah. In terms of like that you would not watch the Super Bowl by yourself or maybe just with your spouse on the couch.
What was the first Super Bowl you watched? Do you remember? Or first Super Bowl party you went to? Do you remember?
Oh, it would have been in college.
Okay.
With involved with crew.
Okay. I remember because I remember watching it alone with my folks when I was a kid. I remember watching, I believe Steelers Cowboys was a Super Bowl. What was that?
Steelers Cowboys?
92?
No. That would have been like 90. Been later than that. 95, wasn't that?
No, that was.
Wasn't it the Neil O'Donnell year?
Maybe. Anyway, I remember watching that one for whatever reason, just me and my folks.
Yeah.
But I remember the first one I watched was, I believe, or with where we hosted a party was 96, I believe, where the Green Bay Packers beat the New England Patriots.
Yes.
That's the I believe that's 1996. Because then Elway won 97 and 98, I believe.
All right.
But that's the first time I remember having a party
Yeah.
formally.
And now
It's an expectation. Everybody goes to a Super
it's
Bowl
an
party.
expectation almost.
It'd almost be sad to watch it alone.
Well, it's so unusual. So I think one piece of that, just on a sort of silly level, I guess, is they've tried to put other things in connection with the Super Bowl to draw in the non-football viewer. One big piece, obviously, is the halftime show.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Did you watch any of that?
I did.
Okay. I did not. I mean, it was on, but I paid literally no attention to it.
I kept going, oh, I didn't know Rihanna sung that song. Oh, I didn't know she sung that song.
Yeah.
That's what I kept doing,
Okay.
the whole halftime show. And then I also wanted to go the whole halftime show. Is she pregnant? But I knew not to say that.
You can't say that.
But then somebody else brought it up. And
Yeah.
it was like, hey, the internet's going kind of crazy. They think she's pregnant.
Yeah.
I went,
And then they announce after. Has it been confirmed that she is?
I don't.
Or is it just
not
the
that I'm
internet
aware.
buzz?
Not
Okay.
that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But
Well, and that's had a checkered history, obviously, with the wardrobe malfunction all the way back to Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake.
02, I think.
Yeah, somewhere around there. But they try to bring in an artist that's popular enough that catches a wide range. But yeah, I'm just not that interested. I'm really not.
Who would they have to bring in for you to be like, I'm really excited for the halftime show? Like
don't know.
What group would have to come in?
See, I don't even know. I don't even know who I'd say. I mean, didn't U2 do it a few years, like a while ago?
U2 did it a few years ago.
But see, here's the thing.
Coldplay.
I really enjoy U2, but they have such a massive amount of music. Mm-hmm. And I tend to like their older stuff more than their newer stuff. So they're going to skew towards the newer stuff that they're going to play.
Sure.
And so, they're not going to play much off of Joshua Tree, best album of the 80s by far. But, yeah, so I think the answer is I don't think you can find somebody that I would be like, oh, I think I want to pay attention to that.
Do you have a problem with an American institution like the Super Bowl bringing in British bands?
No.
Or British singers? You don't have a problem with that?
I don't care about that.
Interesting.
I don't care about that. Obviously, another big piece of watching the Super Bowl that has only grown in its significance is the commercials.
Yes.
That there's a chunk of people who that's what they're probably most excited about in some ways. Like, ooh, what kind of funny or expense? All these commercials are just absurdly expensive. I think it was $7 million for a 30-second spot? Some number like that. Crazy.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's getting wild.
And so, yeah, let's talk a little bit about. How much do you pay attention to the commercials?
Moderate amount.
I'm about the same.
I look for famous people. I look for what do people in the room laugh at.
Yeah.
And then I'll go watch it later on YouTube because they all end up on YouTube 10 minutes later.
Yep.
So,
all right. So, any that stood out to you this year?
There was a good amount that required like you watching a previous show. Like there was a Grease reference, there was a Breaking Bad reference.
Yes.
There was, I think there were some
Clueless.
made
Alicia
it.
Silverstone, I think it's her name.
I had never seen that before, and I just looked at that commercial. I'm like, what on earth is going on?
Well, look,
I'm not the demo.
Probably. Well, actually, you're still in the demo. I mean, I'm almost outside of the demo. 35. There's the 18 to 34, and there's the 35 to 49. Those are the two demos that marketers go after. Once you get to the 50 number, you tend to matter a lot less. So I am knocking on the door of leaving the demographic. But I have been in this phase of life of I'm at the point where I'm asking, is that somebody famous? I should know who that is. Am I?
I did ask that question last night.
And
while
my sons
watching.
laugh at me a little bit. But I didn't recognize the woman from Clueless, Alicia Silverstone, until someone said it. Like, oh, yeah, I guess that is her. But yeah, so there's a lot of I wouldn't call them inside jokes, but a lot of the ads, like you said, they kind of depend on having a basic, I don't like this term, but we'll use it, sort of cultural intelligence. Cultural awareness. Maybe that's a better term. Intelligence in cultural in this context.
Some page 6 intelligence, maybe.
Well, just like broad awareness of these are very popular television shows or movies or even just artists.
Or even that Ben Affleck and J-Lo, I believe, are dating again, right? And that was in the commercial.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know their relationship status, but I found that one mildly amusing to have Ben Affleck doing the drive-through at Dunkin'.
Yeah, particularly he's a Boston guy,
Yeah.
right? And that's out of Boston. And
Yeah. And I liked the previous. I mean, this is sort of bringing back an idea. The E-Trade Baby commercial. You know that they did versions of that 10 years ago, probably now at least. And so I thought that was pretty funny.
The Will Ferrell with the cars.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's clever. What'd you think of the Bradley Cooper one with his mom and the T-Mobile?
I need to go back and watch it again, but all I thought is, boy, he looks a lot scrawnier than I expected him to.
Yeah.
I was like,
He still towered over his mother, though.
yes.
I mean, towered
He was very,
over.
very tall, but I was like, I thought you were thicker. Like, I thought he was stronger.
Well, but don't I think guys like that, you know, they bulk up for roles.
Yeah.
And then they stop doing I'm working out 4 times a day and I'm consuming 12,000 calories.
Yeah.
And then just go back to kind of normal, and their body just kind of retracts back to a more normal state of being. So trying to think if there's any other the spoof of Breaking Bad with the popcorners.
We don't need our own supply. Yeah, I like that. That was fun.
Let's see here. And then one other that's of interest to us, we're going to do an episode on this next week. The He Gets Us commercials. There were 2. Did you catch those?
I just caught one.
Okay, there was one in the first quarter, and then there was one in the fourth quarter.
I caught the one in the fourth quarter. Missed
Okay.
the one in the first quarter.
Yep.
So the one in the fourth quarter was very much like kept throwing up black and white images,
That's all of them in terms of like that's the style.
and then throws up a Jesus said, "Love your enemies," or something like that.
I think that one was Jesus loved the people we hate, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at it again. But
What was the first one like?
I'm trying to remember that one. I don't remember which one it was now that I think about it. Something about Jesus. Was that the one that was about confrontation? I can't remember. Anyway, we're going to do a whole episode on it next.
Yeah, and we got to talk about those commercials in that episode because and the response out there as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anything else you wanted to say on the Super Bowl here before we wrap this up? We didn't talk about your Super Bowl party, food.
Yeah. Yeah,
we
that's a
talk
big
about food. That's another piece of it. Why people gather? Like, there's sort of the
Oh yeah.
dips and all these sorts of things. I'm assuming you smoked something.
I didn't smoke any with the
What?
move coming with the big move and everything. I did not bust out the smoker for the Super Bowl.
Is the smoker still back at the Columbia City House?
No, it just arrived last week at the Fort Wayne house. But no, with everything going on, I just decided to not do that. But
Okay.
my wife made some Hawaiian roll sliders.
Yeah.
Turkey. She makes her own honey mustard sauce that puts on it. A lot of Swiss.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Also had an artichoke dip. There was some chicken buffalo dip that was present.
Was that made by the world famous?
It was.
Yeah, okay.
It was. Big thing of meatballs there. We had just 6 adults, by the way, at our party. We had like a baked trail mix as well that was really good, like a tray of brownies, assortment of beverages. trying to think what else. I feel like I'm missing something. I think that's it.
Sounds
And we had a
good.
veggie tray. There's a
Sure.
veggie tray there. Some filler food.
Yeah.
So it was good. We had a good amount of stuff.
Excellent.
How about
Excellent.
yourself? What was the food?
Yeah, so we had so one of our life group members likes to make homemade pizza,
Okay.
and so we had several of those.
Okay.
He made a meat lovers, he made a pepperoni, he made a sausage, he made a what was the other one? There's a barbecue chicken one. And then several dips. We had sort of your traditional nacho dip. We had buffalo chicken dip. And we had an artichoke, spinach artichoke dip as well. We had what else? We also had on the we had someone bring smoked turds.
Yeah, he was that individual was texting me about
Yeah.
it and wanted to know my process.
Yeah.
They turned out well?
Yeah, bacon wrapped.
Good.
The jalapeno, the cheese. It's good, very good. He also brought he brought bacon wrapped dates
Yeah.
with goat cheese.
Were those good?
I didn't try them. Goat cheese is
Is a non-starter?
pretty much a non-starter for me. Yeah, but we also had some desserts. We had someone made. They called them Buckeye brownies. So they had chocolate, peanut butter, amazing, and also made these caramel shortcake like bites. So rich. I ate way too much last night.
I know. I woke up like this morning. I went, I don't feel great.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Tried to even it out with a lot of carrots and celery.
Yeah,
Did not take.
Did not work. Did not work. All right. You ready to move on, John?
I think so.
Time now for This Day in Sports History.
Okay, this day in sports history, February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. 1966, Wilt Chamberlain breaks the NBA scoring record at 20,884 points. Wilt scored 41 points in the 76ers' 149-123 win over Detroit to pass Bob Pettit. Pettit?
Yep.
Is there no I? No. Bob Pettit's NBA record of 20,880 career points. It's a record that would stand for 18 years until Kareem broke it. And now LeBron has broke it.
That's right. He passed Kareem last week.
Yeah, we didn't get to cover that because he
Yeah, let's see. When did that happen? That happened Tuesday night?
Yeah.
So it happened the night our podcast dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So LeBron's the new scoring champ. Any thoughts,
Yes.
feelings?
I mean, it's remarkable. His health has been great. You have to be incredibly healthy.
Certainly hasn't backed into this.
Nope.
He's leading scorer for the Lakers.
He's definitely earned it. It's remarkable what he can do at the age of 38. That's just crazy
Yeah.
that he can put up those kind of numbers still.
Okay.
But that last little note there, Pettit now ranks 35th all time on the scoring list. So the guy that Wilt passed in 1966 now is 35th.
Yeah.
Wow.
The times they are a-changing.
Yeah. Well, even look at that score, though. The score of the game that Wilt broke the record, 149-123, and I'm pretty sure they didn't have the three-point shot then.
Yeah, that'd be right.
Because didn't they borrow it from the ABA, which was basically like kind of in the 70s? They borrowed that. But yeah, 149 points and not a three-point shot out there. That is some fast-paced basketball.
That's true.
All right, next one.
Okay, 1980. Soviet, never a good sentence for names when the word starts Soviet. Soviet cross-country skier Nikolay Zimyatov.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Yeah, is that close enough?
Yeah, why not?
Wins the first of 3 gold medals at the Lake Placid Winter Olympics. When he takes out the 30,000 event, also wins the relay and the 50,000 gold.
Yeah. Did you ever, I know Lake Placid isn't super close to Long Island, but did you ever get up to Lake Placid?
No.
Obviously not for the Olympics, but just.
No. Never been to Lake Placid.
I've never been up there either.
I hear the Adirondacks, the mountains up there, are just absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I actually have a good friend who pastors up there. Not in Lake Placid, but about an hour away.
Okay.
In Northville, New York.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. 1987, Detroit Pistons, Philadelphia 76ers game draws a crowd of 53,745 at the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, I assume.
Yeah.
Third largest crowd in NBA history. Pistons win 125-107.
Yep. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a healthy number. That's that's approaching an NFL stadium.
Yeah.
1995, the Portland Trailblazers trade Clyde Drexler to the Houston Rockets, who end up winning the 95 NBA championship.
Clyde the Glide.
What did they get for Clyde? Do you know?
I don't remember. I do not remember. No help there. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's the limits of my show prep there.
Oh, there's still more in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, look
got
at that.
2 more.
Oh, boy. 2010, Alexandre Bilodeau. Am I getting that right?
Sure.
Okay. Sometimes you put things on there that you don't know how to pronounce either. Wins the gold medal in the freestyle skiing men's moguls event, becoming the first Canadian to win gold medal during a Canadian-hosted Olympics.
Are you a skier at all?
No, never been.
Okay, I've been once. Did not like it.
I went snowboarding one time.
Okay.
But I think I was 14. I have not been on a mountain with snow since. 2019, Oklahoma City Thunder guard Russell Westbrook makes a triple-double, 44 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists, in an NBA record 11th consecutive game as the Thunder go down 131-122 in New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's the stretch in time where Russell Westbrook was putting up crazy numbers every single game, and it always ended with,
and
the Thunder lose.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Who do you like out of that, John?
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. Maybe Wilt. You like Wilt?
I like Wilt. Well,
Wilt
Chamberlain it is. One thing you liked.
All right. One thing I like. This week, actually this past weekend, my fantasy baseball league started its draft. And I've never been part of a league that drafts like this before, and it's great. We have, I believe, 18 hours to make a pick, and you got to text it into the group chat. And it goes on for weeks.
Yeah.
And I love it every year.
Yes. Is this the one that was going on during the Super Bowl? Or like in the well, I guess so it goes over a whole – because I'm assuming it's the one that Jordan in Indiana is also a part of.
Yep.
So.
And I think he made a pick right before the Super Bowl began, maybe?
He did. Yes. Yeah, he was explaining it to me. You get to keep 6 from your previous roster.
You get to keep 6 plus a prospect. So you get to look at farm systems and pick a prospect, and then you go around and you draft. You have 18 hours to make a pick. I like it because I will take that 18 hours and I'll take 30 minutes one day and do research.
Okay.
Look over like who do I like? Who are my options here?
Yeah.
Instead of like 2 minutes on the clock. Here you go.
Fantasy football, yeah.
Yeah, and I got to make a choice really fast. I like the 18 hours.
Excellent. So mine is the Lakeland Christian Academy boys basketball team won at least a share of the Hoosier Plains Conference title this past weekend.
Nice.
This past week.
Did you get to watch?
I did not. My wife was there though, and happy for them. They've had a fantastic year, and this is the first time they've won the conference since 2019. So that was my son Jake's senior year.
Nice.
Little known fact, I was one of the original creators of the Hoosier Plains Conference.
Nice.
Yes. Now it's gone through a sort of a reboot in terms of dropping some teams, adding some new teams. So it's a little bit different than it was when I was a part of the original creation of it. But yes, one of the unknown things about me, I helped create a basketball conference in the state of Indiana. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, John, we have crossed the 50-minute threshold.
It was worth it.
It was worth it, for sure. We've talked Super Bowl, lots of things Super Bowl.
Yeah, with a correspondent.
Yeah. Our Super Bowl correspondent, Will Dawson, in studio, joined us.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
He's good on a mic. Who knew?
Yeah.
Guys on TV, good on mics.
Who could have imagined? We talked about our impressions of the game. We talked about Super Bowl commercials. We talked about Super Bowl party food.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Wilt Chamberlain breaking the NBA scoring record, and then LeBron recently breaking it himself. And we talked about fantasy baseball draft. Before you know it, opening day will be here.
Yeah, I think it's like maybe next week, pitchers and catchers report. We're down. We're down to the nitty-gritty here.
And then the Lakeland Christian Academy boys basketball winning the Hoosier Plains Conference title. So I think by definition, we have covered our various and sundry topics. And so all that's left to say is, until next time, the Lord bless y'all real good.
Later.